If this audience out here has the demographics of the United States, 25% of you are living with a mental illness. 10% of you are living with serious mental illness, major depression, schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, and those last two really make up about 3 or 4%. National Alliance on Mental Illness here in Albuquerque that I've been involved with, what I have mainly seen are the last two, and the psychosis and those sort of things that come with that. So that's really where I am coming from in talking about this. Now, the first responders for those with mental illness is the police. And I'll say more about that in a little while. So, luckily, the police department has, starting in about 1998, put together what they call the Crisis Intervention Team. It's a special unit of police officers. They volunteer for the positions. They get an extra 40 hours of training, and they're the ones that we recommend to our members. If you need someone to come, be sure to ask when you call 911 for the crisis intervention trained officers. They know how to de-escalate the situation, that type of thing. In 2006, the police department under Chief Schultz also instigated what was called the COAST team, which stands for Community Outreach and Support Team. It consists of a psychiatrist, only police department in the state, in the nation that I know of that has a psychiatrist, and used to at least be six social workers. Their purpose is to, when the police find someone that is not in crisis but needs help, to go out and take care of them. So we are very lucky to have that, and that's really stopped a lot of things. We still have tragedies, though, which is why we're here to talk about things. I want to talk about how people get service. And, you know, I said the first responders are really the police for those people with mental illness. And I think the problem some of the problem we're having with the tragedies and is not so much the police as if you go further down the line, it's the behavioral health system. And let me give you an example of what we go through. I'll do this by comparing a couple of illnesses. With cardiovascular disease, you see a lot of people out here you see a lot of advertisements for medications, take care of your cholesterol, your blood pressure, that type of thing. If you have a heart attack, you know to call 911. Call 911, and an ambulance comes, they check you out, you know you're going to the hospital. No hesitation about calling 911. The mental illness. First of all, you don't see hardly any advertisements out there for medications or other signs of what to look for. Secondly, you are dealing with someone that, say, has a psychotic break, and you hesitate to call 911. But you do call 911 because that's the only service we've got. You call 911 and a police officer arrives. If you're lucky and you've asked for the crisis intervention trained police officer, and they're the ones that come, he's able to de-escalate the situation and say, okay, let's go to the hospital, and they'll take him to the hospital, but they still have to handcuff the consumer, and so he has to go through the humiliation of going out in the neighborhood, handcuffed, going in a police car, and being taken. If you're not quite so lucky, let's say the person, me for instance, decides I don't want to do what the police officer wants to do, and I hit the police officer. Then I end up, again, being handcuffed, but now I may end up in jail, assaulting a police officer. Now, I may be quite lucky there. This Metropolitan Detention Center has the largest psychiatric hospital in the state, and I'm in with a whole bunch of other people that are getting good treatment. I'm in there long enough that I can recover, and then I get out into the system. If I'm not lucky during that interaction at the beginning, and I really try to fight the police officer, I may end up, like some of these cases that we're talking about, or have brought this whole thing about, in a tragic situation of being shot. So those are sort of the options. The last one of those, especially the last one, is one of the reasons that families and others are very concerned about calling the police to come and help take care of something. So the question is, what can we do about it? I suggest a number of things. There was a memorial a couple years ago called House Joint Memorial 17 out of the legislature. The task force recommendations, of which there were 8, and it dealt with jail diversion. One of them was education. Got to get people talking, understanding what the issues are, understanding what the signs are of someone that's starting to get into mental illness. And there is a course called Mental Health First Aid, which is recommended for that. Wraparound services. ACT teams, which Albuquerque has some of, those really need to be kept. The other things that make it so people can really live well, or at least live, supported housing, supported employment, those types of things. I really encourage this community, business community, to look at ways of doing employment, and the community as a whole to continue increasing the supported housing. It's cheaper to do it there than in jail. And lastly, to continue the conversation. And one of the ways you can do that is there's a call from the White House for a national conversation on mental health. And Albuquerque was the first organization to start doing that. And they had a meeting July of last year. There's meetings going on around Albuquerque right now, of which one is in the northeast quadrant on May 10th. And there's flyers outside that I encourage you, if you live in that region, especially if you're family members or people living with mental illness, to attend and contribute to the discussion. The data from that will go into forming policies in Albuquerque. Thank you.